Okay, let's talk about evolution. I know, it sounds like this huge, complicated thing, right? But what if I told you it all runs on a really simple two-part engine? Seriously, let's dig in and see how it works.
So, to get started, let's just ask a really basic question. Just look around you. The sheer variety of life on Earth is just mind-boggling, isn't it? Where did it all come from? How does life get new ideas?
And believe it or not, the answer is right here. It's this simple two-step dance. This is the whole engine, right here. On one side, you've got the part that creates new stuff, new possibilities, and on the other, you've got a filter that, well, it picks the winners. If you get this one idea, you're going to understand everything else we talk about.
Okay, so before we really tear apart that engine, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. What is evolution anyway? Let's get a quick definition down.
Really, at its heart, evolution just means change over time. That's it. But the key words here are gradually and over many generations. This isn't about, a single animal changing during its life. Nope. We're talking about an entire population, an entire species, slowly shifting over huge amounts of time.
All right, part one. Let's pop the hood on this engine and look at the first piece, the creative spark. Where do totally new traits even come from? Well, the source is something that might surprise you. It's just random change.
To get this, you got to understand a little about DNA. And honestly, the best way to think about DNA is like a recipe book. It's literally the instruction manual for building and running a living thing. Doesn't matter if it's you, a giant tree, or a tiny little beetle. So, a mutation? It's just a typo in that recipe book. A tiny, completely random change in the DNA. And these things happen all the time, just naturally. Now, this is super important. Mutations are not based on what an organism needs. An animal can't just wish for thicker fur to survive the cold. It's a total shot in the dark. And yeah, most of these typos are either neutral, they don't do anything, or they're actually harmful. But every now and then, just by pure chance, one of them turns out to be helpful.
Right. It's just like this. The change isn't on purpose, it's a mistake. And 99% of the time, that kind of typo would absolutely ruin the cake. But what if, just what if, by some 1 in a million chance, that mistake actually made the recipe better? That's exactly what a helpful mutation is, a happy accident.
Okay, so mutations create random new options. They're just throwing ideas at the wall. But what decides which ones stick around? That brings us to the second part of our engine, the filter. You've probably heard of it. It's called natural selection.
Yeah, this is where the world itself, the environment, gets a say. Natural selection is basically the process that sifts through all those random mutations. If a new trait helps an organism survive and have more babies in its particular home, then that trait is selected to be passed on. It's not like nature is thinking about it, it's just what works, works, and what doesn't, disappears. This beetle story makes it all super clear, so let's walk through it. Step 1, you've got variation. Most beetles are light-colored, but hey, a random mutation happened, and now you've got a few dark ones. Okay, step 2, there's a challenge. In this case, hungry birds who love to eat beetles. Now here's the key. They all live on dark tree bark, so who's going to have an easier time hiding? The dark beetles, obviously. They blend in, they're less likely to become lunch, that means they survive, and what do survivors do? They make babies, and when they do, guess what they pass on? That dark-shelled DNA.
So you see the two parts, right? You've got mutation, making new options, and you've got selection, filtering them. Simple. But now, let's see what happens when you let that engine run, not for a year or one lifetime, but for thousands and thousands of generations.
And this is maybe the most important thing to get. A tiny change in one generation. You won't even notice it. The real magic, the real power of evolution is time. It's about tiny, tiny advantages adding up, one after another, generation after generation, over these huge, almost unimaginable stretches of time. Okay, so let's go back to our beetles. Check this out. In generation 1, that helpful dark shell mutation is super rare, right? Just a tiny slice of the population. At this point, it's just a random bit of variety. But now, let's hit fast forward. We're talking 500 generations later, with those hungry birds on the job the entire time. And look what happened. The population has completely flipped. The trait that was once rare is now dominant, and the once common trait is disappearing. That is evolution in action.
Okay, so let's zoom out and land on the main takeaway from all of this. What's the one thing you should remember?
It all comes down to this simple but powerful idea. Mutation, a completely random process, creates endless new possibilities. Then, natural selection, a non-random filter, picks the ones that work best in a specific environment. That two-part dance is the engine of all evolution.
And that leaves us with a final thought. This engine isn't a thing of the past. It's running right now, all around us. So, what are the filters shaping life today? I mean, think about bacteria evolving resistance to our antibiotics, or animals adapting to live in our cities. The process never ever stops.